This is KGW News at Sunrise.
President Biden in Portland highlighting his $1.5 trillion infrastructure deal. Coming up this morning, we'll have more on the investments he wants to make in Oregon and Washington.
And today is also Earth Day, so we're wrapping up our week-long coverage of good energy, focusing on a local shoe company this morning that's been focused on sustainability for the last 4 decades. We have that story for you coming up at 5:25.
Happy Friday, everyone. We're so glad that you're watching. Rod has skipped town.
I had to take a look at the monitor up here. What in the heck is he holding this morning?
That is a good question. He is on the road live in Salem. Who do you have there, Rod?
So this is Steven. Steven's a girl and about 1 year old, I'm told, and just an absolute love. And there will be a lot of bunnies here at the Oregon Egg Fest over the weekend. Many of them available for the kids to get their hands on gently, and what a pleasure that is. We're at the State Fairgrounds down in Salem, the 35th Egg Fest. This is the first year back from COVID, so a lot of excitement for what's always a really well-attended event, and we'll be down here live all morning for you. Let's get you to the weather forecast. We are dry as we thought we would be, kind of a mix of fog pockets, partly and mostly cloudy skies. We drove through some fog as you look at your day planner, and saw the moon at the same time coming down I-5 this morning. Temperatures around the Rose City have generally been holding in the low.
All right, I think we lost Rod's microphone there for a while, but we will get it fixed because Rod will be live
this afternoon. Again, we're live with the Oregon.
Mike is back. Rod will be back here in just a few minutes.
Okay, we'll move on to the presidential visit. We begin with a sight we haven't seen in the Rose City in years. Air Force One landing at PDX. That was the first of 2 stops for the president in the Pacific Northwest. You might call it kind of a pit stop. President Biden was on the ground in Oregon for just under 4 hours, touting his bipartisan investment mega package.
Fact is, he arrived here with rock bottom approval ratings and the worst inflation the country has seen in 4 decades. Alma McCarty has more on the president's visit here to the Rose City.
We've fallen behind. We haven't invested in ourselves.
During his brief stop in Portland, President Biden addressed the shortcomings in American infrastructure, as well as his $1 trillion plus plan to fix them.
Bothers the heck out of me that there's this belief that we can't do big things anymore. But we can. We're proving we can. And we must build a better America. And a good place to start is right here in Portland.
PDX front and center, the president touting the millions to be invested at the airport, some of that funding to make sure the runway Air Force One landed on is earthquake ready.
I don't have to tell you, anyone here in Oregon, it sits on a major earthquake zone.
The president said more than $650 million will go to fix Oregon roads and bridges this year. Money through the Infrastructure Act will help replace lead pipes, expand high-speed internet, and invest in upgrades to help communities fight wildfires, floods, and droughts. Work, he says, will create locally thousands of jobs.
I'm more optimistic about America's potential today than I've been any time in my career.
Among those who believe in the president's message and the infrastructure plan, Congressman Peter DeFazio.
I've championed for years under both Democratic and Republican administrations. The last administration, while they talked really big, they produced nothing. But this president, President Biden, took on this challenge, and we are finally able to deliver for the American people.
Though Republican Congressman Cliff Bentz doubts Oregonians will see results anytime soon.
He's promising with one hand to put all this money into Oregon, and with the other saying, but he didn't say it loudly today, did he? Didn't even mention it. But you may never see them because of the environmental issues. We need our roads, we need our bridges, we need our pipelines, we need our oil producing areas if we're going to have any effect on driving down inflation.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
After he spoke at the airport, President Biden headed over to the Portland Yacht Club for a private fundraising event, and that drew people from both sides of the aisle. Some people were there hoping to catch a glimpse of the commander-in-chief. Others, though, were there to protest, hoping the president would see them and some of the realities they live with every day, including Portland's homeless crisis.
Oh, they were talking in a news article about them maybe trying to get things cleaned up. I think it's really important that he sees the situation here in Portland and gets an idea of the people that are suffering here.
I think it's pretty cool. In my lifetime, it's pretty cool. He's just a block away, even if I don't get to see him.
So the news crews we had there yesterday said that crowd of people did get to see the president's motorcade leave, but they never actually got to see the president himself. After he left Portland, the president then headed north to Seattle. He arrived at SeaTac last night, stayed the night there in Seattle, and today the White House says he'll talk there about prescription drug costs and clean energy.
Here are some of the other headlines that we're tracking for you on this Friday morning. 3 people are in custody after a chase and rollover crash in North Portland. This happened yesterday on North Interstate Avenue and Kilpatrick. Portland police say the car crashed into a parked patrol vehicle and another car before driving away. No officers were hurt. Passengers in the other car were treated for minor injuries. A former employee at the Oregon Health Authority has been indicted for embezzling almost $1.5 million in federal COVID funds. OHA says it hired Mariza Abedin to process invoices from outside vendors related to the vaccination effort. The investigation found Abedin falsified documents under a fake business. She has since left the country and is facing 21 counts of theft. The Justice Department has requested an arrest warrant. And the Multnomah County Commission unanimously approved an ordinance that would fine people for displaying human remains for profit. This comes after a KGW investigation exposed a traveling autopsy show at a Portland hotel. A doctor dissected the body of a 98-year-old man, and people paid $500 to watch. In the future, violators will be fined and their profits seized. And those are some of your Friday morning headlines.
Well, things are moving forward now with the plan for a new I-5 bridge connecting Portland to Vancouver. We have Chris McGinnis joining us live here in the studio with the latest from yesterday's presentation to local lawmakers. Chris?
Yeah, good morning, Drew. Yesterday, engineers, planners, and a lot of folks involved with the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program revealed their preferences. They gave them to a legislative committee overseeing the billion-dollar bridge planning. That committee includes lawmakers from Oregon and Washington. Here are some of the key takeaways. The amount of through lanes remains 3, each direction, in the preferred options. Auxiliary lanes are also included. These are entrance to exit ramp connections that minimize the amount of weaving local traffic has to do to get from one ramp to the very next exit. Light rail is the transit preference. This would be an extension of the MAX Yellow Line from North Portland across the new Interstate Bridge to 2 stops, one at the Vancouver waterfront, the other near Evergreen Boulevard. Program Administrator Greg Johnson notes that the addition of light rail increases both the likelihood of federal funding and the amount of those federal dollars.
The leverage that's provided by this choice attracts a higher level of federal funding, and part of that federal funding will pay for a significant portion of the bridge. Maintaining bridge access to Hayden Island has been a challenge. In the latest recommendations, a partial or full interchange to the island is included. The overall project is expected to cost approximately $3.2 to $4.8 billion. The state of Washington has committed their share, $1 billion, with the passage of the Move Ahead Washington legislation last month. We have some wind at our backs in what happened in Washington. And getting this through boards and councils is going to be a very tough and strenuous process. But I am more optimistic than ever that now is the time, and this thing will get done this go round. The expectation is that Oregon will come up with its share of state funding next year. In the meantime, the program churns on through various committees and then on to the environmental impact phase sometime later this spring. Guys.
All right, thanks, Chris. We'll have more from Chris coming up in the 6 o'clock hour.
Okay, let's talk more about Oregon. Not the city part, but the agricultural part. Rod is in Salem this morning previewing Ag Fest. Look at Farmer Rod is what I'm going to call him.
Yeah, when you were holding that, Rod, can I just say something real quick?
My grandfather was a farmer, you know. I'd say, howdy, partner. I don't know if that's more of a farmer thing or a cowboy thing. But this is the 35th year, as we mentioned, for the Ag Fest, the first year back from COVID. And by the way, you know, they're going to be down here at the Oregon State Fairgrounds tomorrow and Sunday. And you can get tickets online, but you can also do it the old-fashioned way and just come down to the fairgrounds and buy your tickets here. They typically have about 20,000 people over the two-day event. It's very popular, very well attended, and always a great time. Let's get you to the weather maps real quick, and we've got the Northwest Satellite and radar pulled up. And the first thing to notice is everybody is dry for the most part across the entire two-state area. Kind of partly cloudy skies in general. Here are your current temperatures outside as we change the maps and show you what's going on. We've had some 30s in the valley, but generally we've been holding right about 40 degrees and similar temperatures this morning over at the coast. We are, of course, in the 20s and 30s when you jump east of the Cascades. The forecast for today, here it is. It's going to be dry this morning, and then we'll get into some scattered shower chances this afternoon. Up in Longview, about 59 degrees. Portland and Salem each should get up into the low 60s west winds that afternoon, scattered shower chance. And so with a decent Friday coming, a lot of dry time today. The 7-day, let's go ahead and show you that, gives us dry weather both Saturday and Sundays. The last time I was down here live for the Ag Fest, I remember it was cold and the weekend forecast was a mess. But this time the weather is going to be fantastic. Partly to mostly sunny skies tomorrow, maybe a little bit of cloudiness on Sunday. Both days have a chance to get up into the 60s, and then we bring some showers back on Friday. I'm surrounded by goats having breakfast. So these goats are how old, Hannah?
11 days old.
Oh, both of them, they're brand new. They're out of the same, what do you say? Not same litter.
Same doe.
Same doe. Okay, all right. What a cutie. Good morning. They're really hungry. All right, we're going to milk a goat. Is that right? These hands in action when we come back.